Today, I'm going to try to beat a hardcore Nuzlocke of the Kanto portion of Pokemon SoulSilver with only Ice-type Pokemon. Last week we made it through a crazy and extremely challenging run of the Johto portion of the game with some wild ice Pokemon that showed their stuff, and today I want to give more appreciation to what the developers accomplished with adding Kanto and all its gym leaders and secret battles as well. Not only that, but we'll have some brand new Ice-type encounters that only unlock once you get the National Dex, even one back in Johto that's only accessible now. Let's see if we can beat Pokemon SoulSilver Kanto Edition with only the first Ice-type that we find on each route, no items in battle, level caps in place, and the battle mode on set at all times. And you know, with how good our performance was back in Johto, I must say I'm feeling kind of invincible at this point. Just like how I feel playing today's video sponsor, Invincible Guarding the Globe. The Invincible mobile game is an Idol Squad RPG set in the Invincible universe featuring an original storyline which follows the TV series timeline, not the comics. Right away upon starting the game, I was hooked, as not only did I really enjoy the battles and the action, but also the idea of being able to unlock a ton of the universe's awesome characters as I go along, assembling them in unique team combinations and configuring them with the best equipment to take on different strategic challenges, kind of like the elements of team building we all know and love in Pokemon. What I love is that you're not just playing through beating a bunch of bad guys, but actually progressing through a detailed storyline, making you really feel as if you're contributing to a massive superhero effort to save the world. The team behind Invincible has also thought of so many cool features such as different game modes like Campaign, Cecil's Nightmares for time-restricted nightmare simulations, and Multiverse Arena, along with being able to watch a live replay of your previous battle when you get back to the menu screen, and even being able to train your heroes in the background to unlock rewards like new gear. The battles are action-packed and bloody, and there are even multiplayer rankings and the ability to play with your friends too. If you're looking to pick up an epic new free-to-play mobile game, then look no further and download Invincible today. Available for Android and iOS using my link in the description below, and I'll see you on the battlefield. And unfortunately, we do have to begin our run through Kanto by honoring our fallen soldiers from the Elite Four: Aladdin the Delibird and Flynn the Dugong. Okay, maybe Aladdin not so much, but you get what I mean. Back in New Bark Town, we're gonna completely ignore our mom since she didn't give us the items that we wanted from our savings, and instead say hello to Professor Elm as the newly crowned champion. He gives us a special item, the SS ticket, and then says, "Give my regards to Professor Oak in Kanto." I'm pretty sure Oak is still in Johto. Yup, in Olivine City. Get your shit together, Elm. Regardless, Oak also has a very special surprise for us, the National Dex. This is actually going to unlock a brand new encounter for us, within Johto in fact. And on the way to the mystery encounter destination, we battle this couple, and I had to do it, okay? We had a cloister already. Technically, the Onyx going into battle violates the rules, but I don't care, we do it for the memes.
Hold it!
Also, how fitting that Cloyster can use Clamp on Onyx, and Onyx can use either Iron Tail or Sleep Talk in this scenario. Too good. Well, with that meme fest out of the way, we arrive at the Safari Zone, where only after you get the National Dex you can unlock what are called blocks. Combining that with the area customizer, we can hit up the Peak biome to find none other than a Spheal, which I catch and nickname Elsa. Elsa ends up having a mild nature, giving her a plus special attack and minus defense, half good, half bad, but also the thick fat ability, which more than makes up for it. Nice. Since we caught her at such a high level, in no time she evolves into a bulkier Celio, and just to make sure we're ready for what awaits us in Kanto, I can then immediately fully evolve her into one of my favorite underrated ice types, Walrein. What a beast. Ooh, that is a big boy. With that, we can now use our SS ticket to board the SS Aqua to travel over to Kanto. Let's go, baby! Oh, what? Your granddaughter is missing? Yeah, sorry, I don't particularly care that much. I'm on a nostalgia ride here. Visiting the captain's quarters, oh man, there's no vomit in the garbage can? Ah, the quality of Pokemon games really went down since Generation 1, didn't they? 7.8 out of 10, not enough vomit. Hey look, there's a Nintendo Wii in one of these rooms. That's actually a great upselling tactic now that I think about it. Promote a console other than the one that the player is currently using to play the game. Genius. Ah, Vermilion City. The nostalgia every time I come to Kanto in the Johto games is just insane. Oh, Okay, Walrein versus Snorlax. Now that is a bulky battle. After a tricky time in the Vermilion Gym, no, not because of the damn gym puzzle, but the electric trainers too, it's time to face our first Kanto gym leader, Lieutenant Surge. And, looking at our team, this is quite scary as it's literally only Jinx who isn't weak to his type. With that said, thanks to our timid nature, we should be able to outspeed everything he has, even as fast as they are. He leads with a Raichu, and I immediately go for Substitute, knowing he's likely going to go for Double Team or Thunder Wave, and he does the former. Now, so long as we don't miss due to Double Team, this should set us up well for his Magneton later. With that said, Ice Beam just barely doesn't KO somehow, but does freeze him. However, he just full restores anyway. With that said, since we outspeed, we can now hit him twice more in a row to take him down. In comes a huge threat for our entire team though, even Jinx, Magneton. Our substitute does help though, as we can hit him once for just over half, and then... okay, he uses Double Team instead of attacking. Interesting, as we can now land another to take care of that thing too. Brilliant. In comes Electrode next, and it is for this reason that I attached the Never Melt Ice item to boost Ice Beam's power, as it has 5 power more than Psychic, allowing us to one-hit KO it. But then, his second one comes in, and it's not too often you get to outspeed an Electrode, but this one doesn't KO somehow. But he went for Thunder Wave. What in the world? I guess Surge isn't too familiar with the substitute mechanics, but I'm not complaining as I just Psychic him twice to conserve power points and get the KO. His final Pokemon is then Electabuzz, a comparatively bulky Pokemon, as we hit him with one Ice Beam for 2/3 before his berry heals him, then he sets up Light Screen. Not ideal, as this means we can't KO him from Psychic from this range, but we do get the special defense drop. Amazing, so after he breaks our sub with Low Kick, we can now KO without having to worry about getting crit. A little touch of misplays from Surge combined with a bit of luck prevented complete disaster with a team like this. First Kanto badge in the bag. Well, without the blocks that normally accompany the cities nearby like in Gen 1, we can now head straight for Saffron City where... Mr. Psychic. I got it. You wanted this. Yes, I did want that. A whole region ago. Do you know how useful that would have been for our devastating struggles we endured in the early game with Smoochum? Oh well. Guess I can't forcibly deport him, can I? Moving up north, we encounter the Fighting Dojo, the former gym here before the Psychic Nation attacked. And boy oh boy, I have with me probably the scariest threat for them of all time. Cindy is a monster they wouldn't be able to even escape from in their dreams. Now, interesting fact, the dude here says that the Karate Master is out training somewhere, and you can actually find him in the Mount Mortar Cave back in the Johto region, where he'll give you a Tyrogue, the only method to get any of the 4 Pokemon in his evolutionary line in all of Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Kinda cool. Alright, after teleporting around like a madman, it's time to take on Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Why do I do this? Let's put some respect on her name, shall we? Sabrina the Dumbass! She does have some big threats against her team, and the main thing I'm trying to avoid here is her Mr. Mime setting up Light Screen, as that would be a problem. For that reason, I attached the choice specs on Cindy, and thanks to Shadow Ball from the TM that we got from Morty back in Johto, thanks Morty, we can blast her Espeon away in one hit. Beautiful. And because of our timid nature, we can also outspeed even her higher level Alakazam and destroy it with one as well. In comes her final Pokemon, Mr. Mime, which we hit with one as well, but it somehow survives on just a sliver in the red and sets up Light Screen. Oh no, exactly what I was fearing. Now she uses a full restore and we don't even do half on the next one. Was really hoping for the special defense drop there, but we hit another to the red again. Then she goes for Mimic, meaning she now knows Shadow Ball as well. That's definitely not good. Regardless, after she full restores again, we hit her for a third and get the special defense drop. Okay, that's good, but I'm definitely not risking Cindy to a crit, and I'm not sure if we have the range. It's hard to tell, so I play it safe and I switch into Elsa to tank the incoming Shadow Ball with ease. But she then sets up Light Screen again, so Surf only brings her to the red, and another full restore. Okay, I hate her even more now. She then switches to Psychic, doing even more damage on us, and we still can't KO, and suddenly we're in crit range again. What is happening? Alright, it's time to throw in the bulky legend, Florian the Lapras, who eats up even a Psychic, only taking half damage after 2 of them, but she gets the special defense drop on us. Oh man, and here I was thinking we were completely safe since we can't get crit due to shell armor. Fortunately, we have enough power, even through Light Screen at this range, to take that damn thing down. If we didn't KO there, that was a guaranteed loss of a Pokemon. That got way closer than expected. I was thinking we'd be able to pull off the sweep here. Making our way over to Celadon City, and after talking with one of the elderly residents about his pool's Grimer infestation, we hit up the cafe. Wait a minute, Maylene? What in the world are you doing in Kanto? She really appears everywhere, doesn't she? I remember she was on one of the snowy routes in Sinnoh, in Snowpoint, in Veilstone, and not to mention the World Tournament in Unova. What in the world? She's quite the traveler. Okay, super random, but I found it very weird that one of the Celadon gym trainers has a Carnivine. The Sinnoh region is really taking over here, isn't it? Alright, with that, it's time for some redemption for good old Cindy after that dicey performance in Saffron. This time with the choice specs attached and Ice Beam being super effective against every single one of Erica's Pokemon, we can actually complete the full sweep. With the main threat here usually being her lead Jumpluff being so fast, meaning that it can set up Sunny Day and activate her entire team's Chlorophyll ability to raise their speed too. But a 4x super effective same type attack bonus or stab 95 power Ice Beam from a base 115 special attack plus speed nature Pokemon devastated everything that she had. Boy, it is getting chilly in here. 3 Kanto badges in the books. Hitting up the Celadon condominiums. A sign that says only Game Freak allowed? Now that's got me curious. Oh, a bunch of people who are about to peak in 2 years. Gotcha. Now, interestingly, there is a rooftop room where you used to be able to get Eevee, but the elevator to get there is blocked off entirely. But if you magically find a way up there at night, you can listen to some dude tell a scary story and get the spell tag from him. Would have been a very cool way to introduce a ghost-type evolution, to be honest, but I digress. Arriving in Fuchsia City after making our way down Cycling Road, it turns out the Safari Zone is no longer here, moved to Johto after all, and now there's a Pal Park here where you can put on catching shows for people and become a big celebrity apparently. Kinda cool. But we are on a mission, meaning it's now time to take on the Fuchsia City Gym, now run by Elite Four member Koga's daughter, Janine. And her levels are incredibly low compared to the rest of the gym leaders for some reason, so it's quite literally impossible to operate underneath her cap. I guess they wanted to show that she's a newer, less experienced gym leader, but oh well, as Jinx with the choice specs and Psychic is able to obliterate her entire team. Poor girl. Fun fact, in Fire Red and Leaf Green, you can actually find Janine within the city despite the fact that she's not a gym leader yet. One of the great little touches of those remakes. And hey, why don't we relive the old days and visit the Safari Warden at his What the ever-living f*** is going on in here? Would you quit monkeying around, little girl? Where's my friend? Making our way up north, we arrive at the power plant east of Cerulean, where a part has apparently been stolen from the generator. Whatever happened to the days you could get a free legendary Zapdos here? Now all I get is fetch quests. Regardless, we eventually get the part back from the lone remaining Team Rocket member, who's confused apparently because he doesn't know that Team Rocket has been completely disbanded, and then interrupt Misty's date. Wait, why did the guy run away like that? Well, having ruined a relationship, it's time to take on the next gym leader, Misty, the water type specialist. Now, water is, on the face of it, a tricky type for us to face, as we kind of resist each other in every way, but we do have one secret weapon, Florian, who I had taught Thunderbolt to, if you'll remember, giving her some great coverage. With that said, her lead Golduck does have Disable, which makes things a bit tricky, as she uses it on us after we bring her to a third. Regardless, I know Golduck can't really do much to us, so I stay in and use Rain Dance to power up our Surf a bit, and after tanking 2 Psychics, we land it for the KO despite resistance. In comes her Quagsire next, a trickier mon for sure as it's immune to Thunderbolt, and I thought she had Damp, not Water Absorb, so it turns out the damn thing is immune to Surf as well. Whoops. And here I thought we'd get a powered up neutral move in the rain. Oh well. I now switched to Ice Beam instead after Earthquake did big damage to us to take us below half before our Citrus Berry helped, and it would have been a 2-hit KO except she used Amnesia after to raise her special defense. We then hit her again but can't quite KO, but do freeze, but of course in comes the damn full restore to erase all of our progress. Another 2 hits then only bring her to a third due to Amnesia, which she uses again. Man, I should have taught Toxic to Florian, I really should have. But then, Florian gets a clutch crit to end that maddening sequence. Alright, we're still in this, as in comes her own Lapras for the battle of the century. Fortunately, we have Thunderbolt, which almost does half, and then she misses Sing, so we can attack her again to the red before she then lands the 55% accuracy sleep move, and full restores on the next turn. Not good. While we're asleep, she then starts body slamming us, and after 2, we wake up to hit the Thunderbolt, then she hits us again to 49 HP. Sheesh. Okay, I thought our Lapras would be able to demonstrate supremacy, but apparently not. Here, I have to switch into Aurora, whose massive physical defense allows her to eat up Body Slam with ease, then she misses another Sing, so we land Avalanche. Fortunately, we get double power if we're attacked first, but we got confused after her first Water Pulse. And we hit ourselves too. What a nightmare. This was then a long back and forth, but our Citrus Berry did help us, allowing us to eventually wrestle through the confusion and take that damn thing out with a final Ice Shard for priority. Her final Pokemon is then her signature Starmie, and the only safe answer here was to switch into Elsa, who could wall her pretty effectively. Although Confuse Ray sure was a nuisance. My basic strategy here was to set up Hail to at least guarantee turn-by-turn damage, and also make it so our strongest move, Blizzard, cannot miss. This strat eventually nets us the victory with only 57 HP remaining, and boy oh boy, our team got hurt bad. I was not expecting that to be so difficult, but Elsa made it through.
I said enough!
After having gotten the upgraded Pokegear in Lavender Town, allowing us access to the Pokeflute channel, we can now wake up the sleeping Snorlax. Not only cool because it allows us to progress further, but also because we can use Thief to steal its held leftovers. One of the best items in the game that hasn't been accessible until now. And it's so interesting how important they made the Diglett's Cave in this game. In the original Kanto games, this was completely optional and you could very well miss it, but in this one, it's a required path to get to the next gym. Great game design, to be honest. Arriving on the other side on Route 2, one cool thing is that the grass in Kanto actually has some new Pokemon available, such as Lediba. I guess in the 3 years since the originals, there have been some new migratory patterns. I like it, although it is weird progressing after being the champion and still finding level 3 Pokemon in what are arguably new areas for us. Regardless, we now arrive in Pewter City where the next gym is, but before that there's a very important item hidden here that is very missable. Using Rock Smash, we can find this hidden path left of the museum, which ultimately nets us the Wise Glasses, a great choice specs alternative boosting all special moves by 10% while retaining the option of using other moves too. Let's go. Oh, now our mom sends us a good item. Although I don't know how useful a choice scarf is going to be at this point with this team, but still cool though. Alright, it's time for the, well, ultimately what is the 14th gym leader this game, a far cry from what he was in Red and Blue, Brock, the Rock-type gym leader. Now obviously a Rock team against our Ice one is a terrifying prospect, and not only that, but we can't really use our Water moves to our advantage fully since he has a couple of Pokemon that are part Water themselves. And even further, I accidentally overleveled Jinx for this fight, which is not helpful. But after theory crafting for a while, I decide that leading with Elsa is our best bet, as she has the most Water-type power output combined with great bulk, instantly wiping his Graveler, Rhyhorn, and Onix off the map with a stab 90 power, 4x super effective choice specs boosted move. A great start, but in comes one of the challenging ones, Omastar. Even with the choice specs, we cannot KO, and then he uses Ancient Power, activating our Charty Berry to weaken his power before we can KO him with another. Not bad. Then in comes his final Pokemon, Kabutops, and my calcs tell me the max he can do is 63%. And we have like 75% of our health remaining, but bam, he KOs Elsa out of nowhere. It took me until I watched the replay back to notice I made a grave error. I didn't see that his Onix had used Screech on us. This is one of those fatal things that can happen if you're overconfident in a certain part of a Nuzlocke and get so tied up in what you think is a genius plan. But I forgot to account for one singular thing during our early sweep. Oh, that is a rough loss. Now what? Kabutops is insane against our team. I decide on Florian, and he misses Rock Slide, but then Thunderbolt barely doesn't KO in the red and doesn't paralyze. We get another chance after he full restores, but nope, no KO and no paralysis again. I kid you not, he then full restored twice more after that, and nope, no crit, no KO range, and no paralysis on all 4 hits. Brutal. I know Florian can survive one non-crit Rock Slide, we just have to hope that he doesn't flinch, but whoa, he misses again after merely using Endure, so Florian can finish off the battle. Well, what can I say? I goofed up and lost a Pokemon, but at least it didn't cost us the run. We press on. Oh, hey look, a Pikachu! Funny how Viridian Forest is the only place in the entire original games you can find one, aside from the power plant, if you ever find it, and it's quite rare here too. I must say I am very grateful that they improved Viridian Forest from the mess it was in Gold and Silver. I know they had storage limitations, but damn that was rough. Making it through Viridian Forest, I hit up the trainer house in Viridian City that a lot of people forget about. I distinctly remember finding this so cool when I was young, but nobody talks about it nowadays. You can face AI-controlled trainers using teams that you've battled before from your friends and whatnot. Incredibly cool, and I remember you can even face your own team in Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Ah, Pallet Town, where my journey began. Okay, I'm not even going to say the number of years ago that was. And of course, we have to pay a visit to Red's mom, who is sad and worried about her missing child. Where in the world did we disappear to a couple years ago after beating the originals, I wonder? And Oak's lab, where we got our first ever Pokemon. Except, okay Oak, what the hell is that green liquid? That looks disgusting. And the little hidden grass patch on Route 21 surfing south from Pallet, the only place where Tangela was found back in the day. Except now that it's got an amazing new evolution, this is definitely a bigger score than it once was. Surfing south, we make it to Cinnabar Island, or what's left of it after the volcanic eruption. And there is a very familiar face here, but we'll get to that soon enough. Apparently, the volcano erupted about a year ago, so it must have been about 2 years after Red faced the gym here in Canon. And with that, we make it east to the Seafoam Islands, where Blaine has set up a temporary new gym. Now, fire is one of the weirdest types for us to face. Yes, it's super effective against our main type, but don't forget we've got some great part water types too. With that said, he also has Sunny Day on 2 of his Pokemon, so we've still got to be careful. He leads with a Magcargo, and I get Florian on the field to start. I figure this is our best bet since we do have Rain Dance, which I set up immediately and weakens the power of the incoming Overheat. He's even got White Herbs on his Pokemon to restore their special attack after that move, so this man is pretty MLG. Regardless, a stab 4x super effective Rain Boosted Surf washes that thing away before his Magmar then comes in. He immediately sets up Sunny Day, unfortunate as that means our Surf now can't KO him, but it does do over half. And I had a huge debate with myself while planning this battle over whether to attach a Citrus or Lumberry, and going with the latter paid off as I knew his Magmar might attempt to use Confuse Ray, so we'd get healed from it and take him down with another Surf even in the sun. Good thing, as Sun-boosted neutral Overheat against us would have still done a lot. In comes his final Pokemon, Rapidash, who immediately slams us with a Sun-boosted Flare Blitz of all things, and Florian tanks it on a third before getting Rain Dance up again. Now, knowing that Rapidash has all physical moves apart from Overheat, I switch into Aurora, our physical defender, who tanks Bounce really well and lands a Rain-boosted Clamp which brings him super low, but Clamp's residual damage at the end of the turn just gets the range, so we don't have to worry and win our penultimate Kanto badge. Let's go, that was really well planned out, I feel. And with that, we can now head to the Viridian City Gym, which is under new leadership by none other than the former champion of both Kanto and Johto himself, Blue, who finally thinks we're ready to challenge him. Let's hope he's right, as he's got a completely diverse team that's incredibly versatile and not limited by type. He leads with an Executor, and fortunately we have a great answer in Cindy, whose Ice Beam is powerful enough to one-hit KO it, as it's a big threat for Lapras and Cloyster. In comes Arcanine next, a big threat for Jinx, so I switch into Aurora here to tank the incoming Flare Blitz, which does exactly a third. He then goes for Dragon Pulse, which does a surprising amount of damage before our Citrus Berry, then Surf isn't quite able to KO. I think we can live another attack though, and we do on just 12 HP on a Sliver before we can take that thing down. Whew. Next up is his Machamp, a giant threat which could obliterate our entire team. But I have one saving grace, our mom finally having bought us a Focus Sash which saves us on 1 HP and allows Cindy to obliterate it with a stab super effective Psychic. Damn, that was scary. I also knew there was a 25% chance he'd use Dynamic Punch since we were in KO range of any of his moves, which would have confused us, but we basically had a 75% chance, then 50% chance to get through that, so I took the odds. The only way through that I could see. This works out perfectly, as I knew Rhydon would come in with its super effective rock moves, so a super effective Ice Beam gets rid of that threat too. It's not over yet though, as in comes his monster Gyarados, so I switch into Florian, who tanks Waterfall well. Apparently we do outspeed thanks to our plus speed nature, and 4x damage Thunderbolt gets the range to one-hit KO. In comes his final Pokemon, Pidgeot, and although it did hit 2 massive power stab returns, our leftovers helped out and allowed us to KO by returning 2 Ice Beams for the victory and our final badge of the game. That's huge. Okay, I've gotta say, so this is the real power of Johto, is such a hard line. Going back to see Professor Oak, I find it very interesting that he mentioned a location that even Indigo Plateau champions with 15 badges can't access, but that 16th badge has him make arrangements to allow us to visit the most ominous and daunting location in the 2 regions. On our way, we get more nostalgia overload, making it through Route 22, which leads to the Pokemon League. But this time, we're going to go further west now that we're allowed to Route 28. And at nighttime only, our very last encounter was locked this whole time behind 16 badges, a Sneasel which I found on my first encounter despite it being a 10% chance to find. And what else is there to do but chuck a Master Ball at it? I mean, we're literally not allowed to use it on anything else at this point. I name him Philip and he ends up having a Lax plus defense and minus special defense nature, not bad. And interestingly enough, to optimize Philip, we're actually going to have to head back to Johto one last time briefly, where we can absolutely load him up now that we have access to the Battle Frontier west of Olivine City. Here, not only is the Razor Claw available as a prize, but also in the gate itself there's a move tutor who can teach both Ice Punch and Brick Break. Amazing! And a quick trait evolution with the Razor Claw means I could evolve Philip into a monster Weavile, which I can't wait to use. It sucks that he's locked so late in game. This thing should be available in Johto proper in my opinion. And you know, this whole Sneasel thing reminds me of something, or someone. That's right, in Mount Moon we can find none other than our Johto rival Silver, who's apparently training there. Man, if you had told someone in 1998 that they'd one day be able to battle Giovanni's abandoned son in Mount Moon, they'd probably have gone nuts. With that said, this is a perfect way to have Philip get a warm-up in, as with his newfound great coverage, he's able to super effective Brick Break his inferior Sneasel, dig his Magneton that then comes in, and then somehow his Meganium actually survives an Ice Punch, but got frozen anyway, so
Bye-bye.
Then Weavile is of course one of the few things in the game that can outspeed things like Golbat, Gengar, and Alakazam with one-hit Ice Punches all around. Quite a good warm-up, I'd say. On the route to our final destination, we encounter a celebrity girl who is apparently retired and now hiding from her fans who are crazy. Then we meet the single loneliest Nurse Joy in the world. Wait, who's we? Hey Philip, come get me. Okay, with that nonsense out of the way, we arrive at our very final destination, the perilous Mount Silver. Before going to the summit, we can pick up an amazing item, the Expert Belt, to boost the power of super effective moves further, and then it's time. The wintry summit of Mount Silver, where our final battle awaits against our Kanto counterpart, Red the Legendary Trainer. With tons of planning under our belt and the Expert Belt in hand, let's do this. He leads with his trusty level 88 Pikachu, and I lead with our newly caught Weavile. Interestingly, for once the hail actually works out in our favor, as Dig then instantly one-hit KOs him. But no! Pikachu's static paralyzes us. I had no idea Dig was actually a contact move. I figured it was kind of like Earthquake, so I purposefully went for it instead of our other 3 moves. Are you kidding me? That is not a good start, the worst imaginable, as Charizard then comes in, so I switch into Florian the Lapras to tank Flare Blitz for about a third. He then hits us again to just a third, but the recoil combined with the hail give us the range to KO with Surf. In comes Venusaur next, a big threat, and we have one real answer to it, Cindy, who eats up Giga Drain quite well before unleashing with a stab super effective Ice Beam for the instant KO, thanks to the hail damage help. But then, in comes perhaps the biggest threat of all, Snorlax that has Crunch of all things, and Thick Fat to weaken Ice move power. Honestly, with it having Giga Impact too, there is no safe switch here, so I decide to keep Cindy in and actually just go for Substitute twice in a row. Why, you might ask? Well, to get 2 turns of hail damage on Snorlax, because my calcs tell me that combined with a Psychic, this will give us the proper range for our next Pokemon to come in. But no! Cindy gets a crit and brings it into the red. Why? I want crits in every situation, but not that one. But Cindy, well, I guess we can't say we didn't know that Cindy was always a bit too good, as she finally gets taken down. Oh man, Cindy, why did you have to be so stellar at your job? Now, as I get Weavile out there, this means that Red full restores entirely instead of us freely getting the KO. That is a massive problem, especially with us paralyzed. Philip does make it through for one Expert Bell boosted Brick Break though, which does over half, and then Snorlax unleashes with a stab 150 power Giga Impact. But wow, our plus defense nature seems to have worked out well, allowing us to survive, and we make it through paralysis to KO that thing. Whew, we're still in this I suppose. But in comes another bulky problem, Blastoise. He goes for Focus Blast, but misses, but we stay paralyzed. Oh man, that was our chance. Now he lands his next one, outspeeding us only because we're paralyzed, and down goes Philip. Oh boy. Here I send in Florian, and he hits another Focus Blast to bring us to just 16 HP in the red before Thunderbolt brings him below half. A crit or paralysis would have been huge there, but now we get smashed with a Flash Cannon and Florian goes down. Well, we're down to our last Pokemon, Aurora the Cloyster. I have no choice but to go for Avalanche, as super effective Flash Cannon hits us hard for a third. I was kinda hoping he'd miss Focus Blast instead. Then Double Power Avalanche doesn't quite KO, but the Hail gets the range. Oh man. But in comes his final Pokemon, his very own Lapras, as if to taunt us, and I go for Clamp just to get residual damage on it, but nope. We miss. Oh dear goodness. Psychic then hits us super low before our berry activates, then we get the clamp off, but I'm afraid it's too little too late at this point, as another Psychic comes in, and we're now in the red. Clamp starts hurting Lapras, and then we get a Surf off, but nope, not near enough, as Aurora gets taken down by a final Psychic, ending our run here. Man, this really is a testament to how strong Red is. I remember I was in a Sleep Country mattress store with my parents the first time I randomly found him and got destroyed. It's kind of charming to know that all these years later he can still prove as a challenge for me. I guess I'm still learning after all this time. Although that static paralysis and the crit with Jinx were brutal luck. Well, we made it all the way to the final bonus boss battle in a run that was astonishingly difficult, so I'm proud of it overall. Thanks so much for watching guys, and I'll see you guys next time for another challenge video.